Me talking to myself in the woods, episode 1. The importance of being uncultured. Why is it important? Well, when I say uncultured, I don't mean why it's important that people should not care about what anyone thinks about them and, live off of scraps and be like Ape Man and, communicate in grunts. What I mean is why it's important to not hinge your pride in the opinions of other people and not hinge your self-worth on how you look to tradition or how you look to the common things that people agree with. You shouldn't think of yourself as a failure of a human being if, let's say, you live in a culture that thinks that anyone who is born under like 5'5" is a devil child. And of course I'm being facetious here. No, I don't think any culture actually believes that. That might be true though. But in that sort of sense, in that case, it would be very useless to hinge yourself on something like that. That really has no practical benefit to you or anyone around you. So, the importance of getting your head out of the water, of being able to take consciously the fact that you yourself are your highest authority, no matter what. No matter what else that you think is the thing that everyone should follow. If you're a Christian and you believe that the Bible is the ultimate source of truth, then who's the one that chose to believe that? Why do you believe that? That was your choice. If you're a Muslim and you believe that the Quran is the written voice of God, you're the one who chose to believe it. Even if it's written in the book, you chose to believe that. There are plenty of books that claim to be the written word of the divine, and it's really up to you to decide which one is your favorite flavor. Because there's no one else that is going to make you believe it except for yourself, and for whatever reason you feel that you have to. So, the importance of not hinging all of your values and everything that you think about yourself on some external thing. You always need to make sure, you need to keep in the back of your mind that it's all nonsense. Everything is nonsense. Nothing in this world is permanent. No word, no creed, no doctrine is ever eternal because time is ever changing. And the people who carry on that tradition are always different than the people who created it in every generation. And you should not try and conform yourself too harshly to an imaginary standard. It's still important to have standards, but know that they're just that. So the importance of having a kind of perspective on these things and on people's values and what you hold to be important, kind of like you were a third-party member of a game. Or let's say that you're at a party, you're at a friend's house, and you're there because you just enjoy being around your friends, and they give you a sense of community. But they're playing Monopoly tonight. You don't like Monopoly, or for whatever reason you got there late, let's say, and you're all watching them get emotionally invested in their own game piece and competing, and some guy might be winning against the other players, and he might collect the most properties or the most cash, and he's having fun because he's doing better than other people at playing Monopoly, and he's able to prove his own aptitude and intelligence or cleverness through his game moves, even though the game that he's playing himself doesn't have any long-term impact other than just the sort of fun of the moment. So I think it's important to keep a perspective on culture like you're just sort of watching friends play a game, and it doesn't really matter who wins at the end of the game as much as it matters that the people playing don't hate each other at the end, and they had fun in their own way. So kind of like that, and you always get the most objective perspective on anything when you're not yourself invested in the outcome of any particular player or puppet. And culture and things that people enjoy doing, your opinions and your politics and your favorite flavor of ice cream, all these things, they're not you. They're just sort of like your puppet words and ideals that you like to play with, and you like to find people who like the same things so that you can enjoy them with them, maybe invent something new. But ultimately, don't hinge yourself on them, because it's a game. And it's done for its own sake, because it's fun to do when you're doing it. But beyond that, we're all animals. We're all like wisping ghosts in time that at some point will dissipate beyond the point of recognition, and and life will start again. So why is this important to keep in mind now? That these sort of cultural things, these sort of ideals that we hold, don't really matter as much in the long run, because us as a species have become so powerful collectively in our technology and our ability to manipulate nature that every little thing we do for the sake of making things comfortable on our end can do a hell of damage for our own environment and the place that we call home, which is Earth. And nature, our local nature. Whoa! I slipped. So, going back to our technological power as a species, and compared to our wisdom of ourselves and our knowledge, our self-knowledge, knowing what certain things that we would do that lead to what, like the consequences of our actions, we're not equipped in terms of wisdom to really handle the kinds of things that we're coming up with, the things that we do for fun and that feed us pleasure are so impactful on our environment, such as like resource collecting, and our methods of farming become so gargantuan and industrialized that they're really fucking up the whole planet ecosystem that we live in. We're technically experiencing, as of now, a real extinction event. We have managed to be the first species on this planet to cause an extinction event. And of course, that's putting it in terms of humans. But it's very important to realize just how much weight we hold over where we live, and the kinds of real cultural values we might want to adapt in order to be living more harmoniously with this planet. We want to think of ourselves currently as humans in the West, like builders or like masters over nature. I think Western people get a lot of pleasure out of training animals because it gives us a sense that our mind is superior to our natural environment and can't tame it. When in reality, that's not very accurate at all in most cases. So yeah, the importance, why, in order to have an objective view on things, you need to be an outsider. And I think everyone needs a little bit of that outsider in their own brain, because you don't want to run yourself. You don't want to drive yourself crazy in circles, thinking that there's no way out. So, like infants in a womb, we are as a species, and we are acting more like parasites. And if we're going to be parasites, then we should at least follow the rule book of a parasite. And what makes the most successful parasite is the parasite that does not bring a negative health effect or does not destroy the health of the body that it resides in. It could help. I think I'm actually lost. But, alright, so ramble on. What can I ramble into now? Let's try to see if we can get a ball rolling, a ramble ball. Alright. So, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at I haven't really taken a guy's walk in a while. It's pretty sweet, man. Pretty sweet, man. Most people who feel like they have an idea that will save the world, or this perfect idea that people should follow in order to create the paradise that everyone does really want to live in, according to them, are willing to go to the most awful extents of moral crime and crime against their real physical environment, and are willing to ignore any information that goes against their way of thinking as evil, really become the most dangerous kinds of people to human society that can be created. And I'm talking about people like, I don't know, I don't even need to mention anything. There have been so many in the 20th century of these people who have these grand ideas of civilization and what it should be, and just end up starting horrible messes. Or they hold value in success, so they're willing to do anything and crush anybody and cut down however many trees, or, let's say in the case of like forestry, are willing to destroy as many environments as they can because they really just want the thing. Because that cultural pride they get from comparing themselves to other people after seeing the results of their actions is more valuable than anything else. And they cut out any sort of real practical spiritual based living for the sake of it, and you start living in the clouds. You're no longer grounded. And as I was saying, with the amount of power that we now have, we should take a very hard look at the things that we value and whether or not those things will really help us in our coming age, which could be a hell if we do not assess ourselves.